Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget-friendly, and delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. For dinner this first night, my little brother was spending the weekend with us. If you're new to my channel, he is 14, and I asked him if he wanted to order pizza this night, which I knew what the answer would be before I asked, and he said yes. So we just ordered Papa John's. We got a pepperoni pizza, and then we got, for my husband, he calls it a garbage pizza. It's basically their works, but instead of sausage and onions, we add banana peppers and pineapple. And then we got some wings, just some buffalo wings and barbecue wings, and that was our dinner this night. For dinner the next night, my husband and little brother wanted to go with, there was a group of people that they go to the gym with that wanted to watch some fight that night. So they went to Buffalo Wild Wings and ate dinner and watched the fight. I didn't feel like cooking anything just for myself, so I warmed up some leftover breakfast casserole. I've shared this before on my channel. This is the McMuffin Casserole from Plain Chicken. It is delicious. It's so good. It's one of our favorite breakfast casseroles, so I'll link that video down in the description box below. I just had that with some fresh cantaloupe, and that was dinner this night. Dinner the next night was off a meal plan just a little bit. I was going to try the Cozy Cooks beef stew recipe, but to be quite honest, I just didn't feel like doing the prep work. I was feeling lazy, so I decided to just do the pot roast that I normally make. I've shared this before, but I'll just quickly go over it. Here are the ingredients that I'm going to use. I've got an onion that I'm going to chop up, some baby carrots, and then normally I put potatoes in this, but again, didn't feel like peeling and chopping the potatoes, so I decided to just do mashed potatoes on the side using the Y.O.Y.O steam and mash. I have a little packet of onion soup mix, and then a can of cream of mushroom soup. And normally I do either 1 or 2 cans of cream of mushroom, depending on how big my roast is. Today I decided to try this cream of mushroom with roasted garlic. This was really good. And then I've got some beef broth. All right, so what I did here was I laid down my vegetables in the bottom of my crock pot liner. I seasoned the roast really well with some salt and pepper on both sides. Placed the roast on top of the vegetables, and then in a bowl or measuring cup, I mixed up the soups, the onion soup mix, and the beef broth. I'm going to pour that over the roast, cover it with a lid, and then cook this low and slow all day. Here is what it looked like when it was done, and it was really hard for me to do this one-handed, but what I was trying to show you here is just how like fall apart tender that roast was. Now, what I will do sometimes is remove the roast and then make like a cornstarch slurry to thicken up that mixture to make a gravy. Here are those steam and mashed potatoes I mentioned earlier. These are really convenient to keep on hand for like a quick and easy side dish. All I'm going to do is cook these according to the package instructions, which is to microwave them for 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes, I removed them to a bowl and then added some butter, milk, salt, pepper, and then used a hand mixer to mix them up until they were my desired consistency. I'm also going to cook up these crescent rolls. This is the butter flake. This was our first time having these, and they were yummy. I just cooked them according to the package instructions in the oven. And last but not least, I had a can of lima beans in my pantry that I wanted to use up. My husband will eat them, but he doesn't love them. So with me only having the 1 can, that was perfect because it was just enough for me and him a little bit if he wanted them. All I did was drain the lima beans, place it in a saucepan, add a little bit of chicken broth, little pinch of brown sugar, salt, pepper, and then some little bacon crumble pieces. And I just simmered them while like the mashed potatoes and the crescent rolls were cooking. Here are the plates. We've got some of the roast, the potatoes, the rolls, and then I've got some of the lima beans. And right before we ate, we added ketchup to our pot roast. We love ketchup with our roast. What do you all like? Comment down below. I've heard some people say they put like A1 on it. I think a couple people have told me they put ranch, but I'm just curious because I'm not as adventurous, but I know my husband will try it. So leave me a comment down below and I'll have him try it and kind of taste test for us. But this was the perfect Sunday dinner. It was delicious, comforting. It was chilly this day, so it was just warm, stuck to our ribs, just is so yummy. If you've never tried your pot roast using the cream of mushroom soup and the onion soup mix, I recommend you give it a try. It's really flavorful and yummy. For dinner the next night, my husband had left this morning to do a business trip to Las Vegas. He was only gone a couple days. So I took advantage of that time and made things that I know he doesn't particularly enjoy, but I love. First, I made my dad's recipe for burger and beans. I've shared this before on my channel. I'll link that video down in the description box below. It's so yummy. Now, normally I just have that, maybe some applesauce. That's how my grandma and dad used to serve it. But for this night, I had leftover mashed potatoes, so I decided to make some potato cakes. Let me show you how I did that. So here I've got my leftover mashed potatoes. I'm going to add them to a mixing bowl, and I had right out about 2 cups of mashed potatoes left. To that, I'm going to add in an egg. Now, I make my potato cakes like my granny made them, and so they're really, really simple, but absolutely customize these. Like I say with everything, make them your own. I'm going to add in a little bit of flour. Sometimes I use all-purpose, sometimes I do self-rising. Today I decided to do self-rising. And then I'm going to add some salt and pepper and stir it until it's combined really well. Some people will add in like diced onion, different seasonings. Sometimes I make these, especially if I'm making them for my husband, I'll add in like some shredded cheese and bacon to do like loaded mashed potato cakes. So good. Once I've got the mixture combined really well, I'm going to get them fried up. So here in the skillet, I have a little bit of oil, and shh, don't tell anybody, but I added in just a tiny little tablespoon of bacon grease. Just gives it really good flavor. I've got this on about medium heat. I'm going to scoop in my potatoes and then just cook them for maybe about 3 to 5 minutes on each side until they're golden brown, and that's it. Now, some people will take the potato cake mixture and kind of pat it out and roll it in flour. You can do that. I personally don't find it necessary. As you can see here, they get nice and really golden brown without the flour. But hey, it's your kitchen. You do you. All right, here is my plate. So I've got some of the burger and beans and then my potato cakes. So delicious. Yet another comforting, just good home cooking meal that reminds me of growing up and being a kid. My dad making burger and beans and then Granny making potato cakes. For dinner the next night, so I've mentioned many, many times before on my channel, but just in case you're new, that Gary hates tuna casserole. There's some things that I make that maybe he doesn't love, but you know, he'll eat it. Tuna casserole is not it. He will not touch it. If I make tuna casserole, he'll make himself a sandwich or something. It's just, he just doesn't care for it. So when he was gone, I decided to make it. I've seen Valerie. I cannot remember if her channel name is The Hargett Life or Valerie Hargett, but I'll have it linked down below. I saw her a few months ago make this tuna crunch casserole. It's a little variation on the tuna casserole that I normally make, and so I figured this time with Gary being out of town was perfect for me to give it a try. It was really yummy, so let me show you how I made it. In this pot, I've got my cooked egg noodles. I just cooked these according to the package instructions in some salted water, drained them, and then put them right back in the same pot I cooked them in. Next, I'm going to add in a can of cream of chicken and mushroom soup. That's what I happen to have on hand. You can use whatever cream of soup you prefer. I added about a 1/4 cup of milk to that soup can and gave it a little shake and added that. Next, I'm going to add in the sour cream. I don't normally add this to my tuna casseroles, but the recipe Valerie used suggested it. Then I'm going to add in some pepper. Here I've got a can of tuna that I'm going to open and drain really well. And I like peas in my tuna casserole, so I'm going to add in a handful of frozen peas. You don't even have to thaw them. They'll thaw with the heat of this. Next, I'm going to add in the shredded cheese and then the drained tuna. And I'm going to stir that until it's combined really well and give it a taste and adjust the seasonings. And I halved this recipe, so it did like a 9 by 9. I've got the oven that's preheated to 350 degrees. I have the casserole dish that I sprayed with some cooking spray. I'm going to add the tuna casserole mixture. And then I'm going to top this with some of the shredded cheese that I used. And then this is where Valerie's recipe differs from how I normally make it. Her recipe that she used said to add some fried onions on top. Now, I wasn't sure how I'd like the fried onions, so I only added them to half. And then for the other part of the crunch of this casserole, we're going to add some crushed Cheez-It crackers. So I've added the Cheez-Its, and then you're supposed to melt some butter and pour that over, but I was just feeling lazy, so I didn't feel like melting the butter, so I just sprayed it with some butter cooking spray. This is going to go into the preheated oven and bake for about 20 to 25 minutes. Once it was done, this is what it looked like, and this was yummy. This was a nice little variation on the typical tuna casserole. I loved the crunch of the Cheez-It crackers on top. The fried onions were okay. They weren't my favorite. I don't think I would add them again. I mean, they were fine. They weren't bad. I just really preferred having just the Cheez-It crackers, but this was yummy. So if you like tuna casserole, I recommend you give this recipe a try. For dinner the next night, I tried a new recipe for Mojo Pork. I will have the recipe I used in the description box below. I did go off the recipe just a little bit though. So to this crock pot, I have a pork butt. Now I got this started later in the day than what I wanted, so I went ahead and cut it into large chunks. That will help it cook faster, get more tender faster. I'm going to season the pork with some salt and pepper. Next, I'm going to add in the cumin, dried oregano, crushed red pepper flakes, and I'm going to give that a stir. Now, the reason why I said I didn't follow the recipe exactly is because the recipe instructs you to season the pork and to sear it on top of the stove and then add it to the slow cooker. But like I said, I was running behind and I just wanted to get this, you know, cooking and get it on. So once I've added the seasonings, I'm going to give it a toss and then add in my minced garlic, the orange juice, lime juice, bay leaf, and then I'm going to give it one final stir. I'm going to place the lid on this, and then you could cook this on low all day. I cooked it on high for about 6 hours. Here is what it looked like when it was done. As you can see, just absolutely fell apart. I'm going to take a couple forks and shred it up. And the recipe does say that if you'd like, you can add a cornstarch slurry to kind of thicken up the juice, but I was fine with the consistency. For one of my sides, I'm going to make some quick black beans. So here I have a can of black beans. I am not going to drain these. And then here are the seasonings that I decided to use. You can use, of course, whatever seasonings you prefer. I've got some adobo, cumin, garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, and then I'm going to add a little bit of water and a little bit of chicken bouillon powder. I added everything to a little sauce pot, brought it to a boil, and then simmered it for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then for the other side, I had just a little bit of some instant white rice in my pantry I wanted to use up. So I just cooked it according to the package instructions. And I did add just maybe about a teaspoon or so of that chicken bouillon powder. Gary loves adding condiments and hot sauces to his food, and I knew he'd want to add something to this, so I set out the Valentina hot sauce, and then I thought maybe this guacamole salsa would be good with this, so I set that out as well. Here are the plates. So we've got the rice and beans. I cut up some fresh lime for us to squeeze over, and then we've got the pork. And I didn't have any fresh cilantro, so I just added some dried cilantro. And right before we ate, Gary did end up adding the hot sauce and the guacamole salsa. And I actually tried the guacamole sauce with mine as well. It was delicious. It was really good. The pork was super yummy, had lots of great flavor. We had leftovers, so I popped it into the freezer, and we'll make like tacos or nachos or something for dinner later one night. For the last dinner in this week's video, I tried a new way of making burgers. They're bacon burgers. I'll talk about that in just a minute. First, I'm going to get started, though, on my side dish. I'm making broccoli salad. I've shared how I make this before on my channel, but I'll quickly go over it, and I'll have the recipe linked down below. Here is what I'm going to use to make the broccoli salad. First, I've got some of this Tillamook shredded cheddar cheese on hand, so I'm going to use that. I've got some crumbled bacon pieces from Sam's Club, fresh broccoli, sunflower seeds, and cranberries. And then for the dressing, I'm going to use some mayonnaise, sugar, vinegar, salt, and pepper. In this bowl, I first mixed up the dressing ingredients, and then once I had that combined, I added the broccoli, cheese, bacon, sunflower seeds, and cranberries, and stirred it together really well. I'm going to cover this with a lid and place it into the refrigerator for a couple hours, and it will be so yummy. Now, like I say with everything, make it your own. You could add some diced onion, you could add cauliflower, carrots, like broccoli slaw mix, you can add different nuts, all kinds of things. Just make it how you like it. Now for the burgers. I've seen Sammy over at Managing the Maze make what I think she calls them bacon burgers. I've seen her make them several times and they've just looked so good. I decided to give them a try. They were delicious and easy. Here's what I'm going to use to make these. So first I've got some lean ground beef. I just had this in my freezer. I let it thaw. Next, I have some bacon. I'm going to chop the bacon up really, really fine. And then you can season your burgers however you'd like. I'm going to use this McCormick hamburger seasoning and the Kinder's Buttery Steakhouse seasoning. So here are my form patties. All I did was add the ground beef to a bowl. I added about 2 slices of that bacon chopped up, the seasonings, and then I combined it, pressed them into patties. And then I'm going to cook these on top of the stove. You could grill these, cook them in the air fryer, and just cook them until they're done to your liking. We like a little bit of pink in our burgers. If you like them well, cook them well. Once they were done, I added just some good old-fashioned sliced American cheese, and then we're going to assemble our burgers. I had a couple of the brioche hamburger buns left over that I got from Aldi. I toasted them up in the air fryer, and then we just added some mayonnaise, ketchup, mustard, tomato, lettuce on my husband's, and he added relish, I believe. And then we had the broccoli salad, and these burgers were delicious. They were so yummy, and I love that broccoli salad. It's so good. All right, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. You got some dinner ideas from it. If you did like it, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.